68 million Americans wake up inside a slight risk of severe weather this Thursday morning. Tornado Watch 351 covers 12 counties in south central Alabama, and Watch 349 covers 11 counties in eastern Kentucky. And the National Weather Service just issued an extremely rare high risk of flash flooding across the Gulf Coast. Here is what makes today unlike anything we have covered this week, plain and simple. There are two completely separate tornado threats happening in two completely different parts of the country. Different causes, different meteorology, different cities at risk at the exact same time. Add today's 68 million slight risk to 60.9 million in the marginal zone. Stack it together and you get 128.9 million Americans inside some flavor of severe weather today. This is no joke, y'all. It is Thursday, June 18th, and the one storm that launched 4 disasters this week is still producing high-impact weather today. Pull up a split screen and here is what the country looks like at this exact moment. Left side post-tropical Arthur churning northeast through Alabama, spinning up embedded tornadoes in torrential rain. Right side, an independent cold front-driven system building low-topped supercells across New England. These two threats have zero connection to each other meteorologically, yet they land on the same Thursday. And that is the setup your Thursday forecast looks like coast to coast today, no two ways about it. Now to open Theater 1, the Gulf Coast story that is happening right now across the South. Post-tropical cyclone Arthur made landfall along the Texas coast as a tropical storm overnight, which means it is weaker now, but today by far is its most high-impact day, plain and simple. Arthur's remnant low is tracking northeast through Louisiana, central Mississippi, and directly toward central Alabama. Rotating supercells are spinning up inside the rain bands across Hattiesburg, Gulfport, and southern Mississippi. Watch 351 is in effect until 5 p.m. today, 12 counties from Butler to Mobile to Escambia in Alabama. And the Flash Flood Watch covers an even bigger footprint across coastal Alabama and the Florida Panhandle. Now here is the number that woke up every meteorologist in Norman this morning, 70%. The NWS issued a high risk of flash flooding for portions of Mississippi and Alabama this morning. 70% probability of flash flooding in the pink zone is the rarest designation NWS ever issues, which means forecasters are highly confident this area gets catastrophic flooding before the storm exits. The conservative model blend is already calling for 6 inches of rain by tomorrow morning in many spots. And the high-resolution data says some areas near Gulfport, Hattiesburg, and Poplarville push 10 to 15 inches, which means rivers and bayous that flooded in the spring will hit those levels again before Friday morning. Betty, the retired school principal down in Mobile, Alabama, your Thursday is about to get very rough. Watch 351 covers your county until 5 p.m., and tornado-warned cells are already spinning southeast of you, which means do not wait for the siren. Get to your interior room now if you hear thunder to the southwest. And do not drive anywhere you cannot see the road surface under the standing water tonight. The remnant low tracks northeast through the day, pushing the tornado-capable bands northeast too. By noon Central Daylight Time, the main activity pushes into southern Alabama and the western Florida Panhandle. Mobile, Pensacola, and Fort Walton Beach take the worst of the tornado and flooding rain threat by midday. By 3 to 4 p.m., the storm spreads east into Tallahassee, Albany, Georgia, and the Georgia coast. By evening, spin-up tornadoes remain possible near Savannah, Columbus, Georgia, and even parts of Atlanta, which means the Gulf Coast tornado window runs from sunrise all the way through Thursday evening. Now here is the meteorological detail that makes Arthur genuinely unusual, plain and simple. Most tropical systems weaken rapidly after landfall as they lose the warm ocean water that fuels them. But Arthur's remnant is actually increasing its severe weather output as it pushes inland today, which means the low-level shear and mid-70 dew points across the Gulf states are boosting the storm. Spinning rain bands on the east side gain organization even as the tropical circulation itself deteriorates. Translation: Arthur is doing more damage over land than it did while it was still a named tropical storm. Here is the rainfall detail that is going to generate most of today's damage across the Gulf region. The conservative model blend already shows 6-inch totals before tomorrow morning across southern Mississippi. High-resolution data pushes isolated spots near Gulfport, Hattiesburg, and Poplarville toward 10 to 15 inches, which means rivers, bayous, and drainage ditches that flooded this spring hit record crests again by Friday. Panama City Beach, Destin, and Pensacola 3 to 5 inches is forecast even in the lighter zone. And Atlanta, Augusta, and the Georgia upstate could pick up 1 to 3 inches through Friday morning. Before I swing north to Theater 2, I need something from you in the comments section today. Tell me your county and state right now if you are anywhere from Louisiana to Georgia to the Carolinas. I read every single comment. And I will respond with the exact timing window for your location before the storm bands arrive there. That way, nobody along the Gulf Coast gets caught off guard by Arthur's northeastward march this afternoon. Now flip north to Theater 2, the northeast setup that has nothing to do with Arthur whatsoever. A separate cold front is crashing into the northeast today, driven by an independent upper-level trough. Surface dew points in the 60s, 1,000 joules per kilogram of instability, and strong deep-layer shear, which means low-topped supercells, an unusual and rare storm type for New England, are possible. Burlington, Vermont, and Rutland, Vermont are in the bullseye from noon to 2 p.m. this afternoon. Saratoga Springs and Albany, New York, your window runs from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Damaging winds, some hail, and a couple of tornadoes will all be on the table through that window. Bob, the retired high school teacher up in Burlington, Vermont today is not a typical Vermont afternoon. Low-top supercells can drop brief EF1 to EF2 tornadoes without giving much visual warning first, which means you need the phone alerts on and an interior room plan ready well before noon today, and if the sky turns that sickly green-yellow color by 1 p.m., do not wait, just get inside. Now here is the timing detail most northeast folks are missing this morning about their afternoon. Storms organize over northern New York midday, then accelerate east at 40 to 50 miles per hour. Boston and Portsmouth, New Hampshire storms arrive right around 6 p.m. Eastern Time this evening, which means the commute home from work in Boston is going to be messy to outright dangerous today. The line moves offshore from most of New England by 8 p.m., so the overnight should improve. But far eastern Maine, Bangor, Presque Isle, Calais, your storm arrives after 8 and stays. Here's the jaw-dropping piece that brings both theaters together tonight. Folks, 68 million Americans in the slight risk across the northeast mid-Atlantic corridor today. 60.9 million Americans in the marginal across the Gulf Coast southeast and plains. Add them up, 128.9 million people inside some risk zone today. That is 2 complete theater-style disasters running in parallel across 30 states simultaneously. And most Americans will watch the nightly news and only hear about one of those theaters, no joke. Now to Kentucky, because Tornado Watch 349 covered 11 eastern counties until 11 a.m. this morning. Breathe It, Floyd, Knott, Magoffin, Pike, Wolf the mountain counties where 60-mile-per-hour storms rattled homes. Pat, the retired coal miner living near Hazard, Kentucky, that storm line moved through at 60 miles per hour, which means it was there and gone fast, but the flash flood watch for eastern Kentucky runs through 4 p.m. Do not cross flooded roadways in the mountain hollows today, no matter how shallow the water looks. Now to the central Appalachians and mid-Atlantic, where the overnight convection left a dangerous boundary. Lingering storm segments from last night's Kentucky squall line are still producing damaging winds this morning, which means West Virginia, Virginia, and North Carolina wake up to ongoing severe weather before noon. The cold front then drives redevelopment across the Piedmont by afternoon. Charlotte, Raleigh, Richmond, Washington, D.C., Baltimore, and Philadelphia will all see fast-moving severe storms through the afternoon. 50 to 65 mile per hour damaging wind gusts and quarter-size hail are the main hazards there. Helen, the retired nurse up in Baltimore, Maryland, your afternoon severe window runs 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. Fast-moving squall lines with embedded rotation will sweep through the Beltway corridor after lunch, which means charge the phone, know your shelter spot, and keep the app alerts on through dinner tonight. Now to the southern plains, because Oklahoma City, Tulsa, and southern Kansas have their own weather today. Elevated thunderstorms capable of large hail and gusty winds are possible across southeast Kansas into northern Oklahoma. By late afternoon, the surface low and dry line push storms into western Oklahoma and western North Texas, which means Lawton, Amarillo, and Abilene area residents still need the phone alerts going into evening. Before I close out, I want to hear from folks across New England and the southeast tonight in the comments. Did storms roll through your town? Tell me your city and what you experienced below in the comments. Because I track every damage report I can find and feed those into tomorrow morning's briefing. And if you're in Vermont, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, tell me what the sky looked like at 1 p.m. Now to the weekend, because the severe weather machine does not quit after today. Y'all. Saturday, Father's Day Eve, a new severe weather threat fires across Colorado, Kansas, and Nebraska. Supercells capable of large hail and tornadoes are possible across the I-80 corridor Saturday afternoon. Nebraska, northern Kansas, and northeast Colorado need to track this system through Friday night. Omaha, Lincoln, Salina, and Topeka all sitting in the early Saturday severe weather corridor, which means the corn and wheat belt that just got drenched this week faces another round Saturday. By Sunday, Father's Day itself, the energy shifts east into the Midwest and Ohio Valley one more time. Missouri, southern Illinois, Indiana, the same corridor hit Wednesday, could take it again on Father's Day, which means 3 consecutive outbreak events across the Midwest in roughly a 5-day period, no two ways. Watching from Ohio, Indiana, or Illinois, tell me your county below the Sunday forecast is building around you. Here is one more Arthur detail the cable channels have not connected that you need to know tonight. As the remnant low exits offshore over South Carolina and Virginia, models hint it tries to re-deepen. A sub-990 millibar low off the Carolinas into Friday is not out of the question, which means Myrtle Beach, Cape Hatteras, and the Outer Banks could see renewed gusty winds Friday morning. And the flooding story for the Gulf Coast does not stop at midnight tonight, that is for sure. A moderate risk of flash flooding, 40% probability, is already posted for Friday across Alabama, which means ground that cannot absorb another drop gets hit by another round of 1 to 3 inches Friday. Gulfport, Biloxi, Mobile, and Pensacola, the rivers and bayous will stay dangerous through the weekend. And rivers that crest Thursday night may not fully recede before the next round of rain arrives Friday. Here's the big picture that shows you how unusual this June pattern has actually become. Folks, 5 consecutive days of severe weather events from Monday through Father's Day weekend across the United States. After Father's Day, the Arctic pattern the models have been advertising locks in for nearly 2 weeks. Below normal. Way below. Which means late June temperatures run 10 to 20 degrees below normal east of the Rockies. Some models hint at early July snow showers in the northern Rockies before the 4th of July holiday, which means the wildest June in modern memory closes out with an Arctic blast straight from Canada. All right, bringing it back to the 3 things that opened this video tonight, folks. 68 million Americans inside the slight risk corridor from New England to the mid-Atlantic today. 2 tornado watches active simultaneously. Watch 351 in Alabama, watch 349 in eastern Kentucky, and a 70% high risk of flash flooding issued across the Gulf Coast, the rarest NWS designation. 2 completely separate disaster theaters running simultaneously across 30 states in one Thursday, and 128.9 million Americans inside some flavor of severe weather risk today. That is the map your Thursday looks like from Lake Charles to Burlington to Baltimore all at once. Gulf Coast and Alabama residents stay off flooded roads through Friday morning, no exceptions whatsoever. Do not drive it. Turn around. Eastern Kentucky flash flood watch runs through 4 p.m. and mountain hollows fill dangerously fast. New England and New York lock your afternoon plans down before noon. These storms arrive and move fast. Baltimore and Philadelphia aim to be home or sheltered before 2 p.m. and keep the alerts on. Oklahoma and southern Kansas hail and gusty winds possible through early evening across the region. Watching Father's Day weekend from Nebraska to Indiana, start tracking that Saturday outlook by Friday noon. And the overnight forecast tonight stays active along the Gulf Coast, so keep the weather radio on all night. Here's the bottom line: 2 theaters, 2 completely different causes, same Thursday morning map. Split screen left Arthur's remnants spinning up tornadoes and dumping a foot of rain across the Gulf Coast. Split screen right cold front supercells rolling across New England with tornadoes possible in Vermont. 128.9 million Americans somewhere on that combined map today. And the pattern keeps firing through Father's Day weekend before the Arctic blast finally locks things down. 68 million slight risk, 70% flood probability, 2 watches, 2 states, that is Thursday. Next briefing comes tomorrow morning with damage reports, fresh model data, and the Father's Day forecast. Mobile, Burlington, Baltimore, hazard, keep the radio on and stay out of the water tonight. And do not say nobody warned you when the storm rolls through your town this afternoon.